Imaging Cheops. You know, all his books are good books if you're really interested in, you know, proving, you know, get involved with gravity, man. This is it. The ancients left this over to help us crack the code of gravity. Here's a densitogram right now, and here's a couple of other signatures. I gotta get the dog's chew toy again. I don't know what I did with that now. All right. So, there's a couple of side shots of the densitogram. All right. Density imaging of Cheops pyramid, a 3D view. 3-dimensional. These guys are like, I wish they would help me out here. I'm like, I'm not even one-dimensional. Anyways, these are the side shots of the gravity wave. You know, this is like Mr. Houdin's, you know, Jean-Pierre de Houdin, I think. Well, anyways, Mr. Houdin, I'll call him. Jean-Pierre, I think his name. But anyways, these are the you know, was his, like, you know, more or less addition to what he was looking at. He thought, well, this is the ramp signature and all that stuff. But like I said, you know, you can play with any pictures and make your own conclusion. At the time, it was the only thing that would make sense back in the 80s. He's got movies, great movies out on YouTube. Also, you know, give him some time and check out his stuff. I'm not saying it ain't done like he was saying. What I'm saying is the image here is the gravity wave changing on this mass. Okay. So that's it, boys. All right, and girls. All right, we're moving right along here. Trying not to bore everybody to death with this stuff, but I'm just throwing this stuff out. You guys do your own due diligence. Check it out. This is, like I said, hdbeweyblogspot.com. You know, it's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, here's the pyramids now. This is Giza. I'll blow it up a little bit, but this is yeah, Giza. This is Cheops, Great Pyramid Giza. Now, these guys are brilliant. They got the pyramid, and what they do is they turbocharged the Great Pyramid of Giza. Unlike the other ones still putting a condensed gravity wave out. And like I said before, they usually come in 3 just to steer this and put it where it needs to be, or maybe even you know, and increase the power. You put a pyramid on the ground. You know, a perfect pyramid, you shoot the gravity wave straight down, it's going to come right back at you. You know what I mean? So, I mean, there's bounce with gravity. So, my theory is there's bounce with it. So you got to control bounce. So that's why you have like 3 pyramids, and they're all, you know, controlling the bounce, and they're playing off each other. And the last one, I believe, is Cheops, Great Pyramid of Giza, and that's the main one that shoots out over to the Hawaiian HOT SPOT via the liquid iron core, or in the iron core, somewhere in that area. That's where they have the you know, the ricochet out back underneath the Hawaiian Islands. Now all of them line up in that similar fashion. But anyways, to make things even more interesting or more powerful, they built the King's Chamber with relieving chambers on it. And new word, gravitinos. Gravitinos are basically gravitons in air, and, you know, flowing through the air. Gravitons, in the book I use it as just gravitons from solid matter. So like I said before, you have a high density up here with the gravity wave, and then you have an inverted triangle, you know, if you will, low density, high density, and that changes the gravity wave in this direction. So it wants to fill this low density void, so the gravity wave does change direction, comes down. Now, you go to H.D. Bewey's densitogram, which I just had up there. The change in density from low is, the low actually is in the area of the shafts exiting the pyramid. I don't think this is a good representation of the shaft's actual trajectory, but we're just going with it just so I can get my point across. So anyways, the wave's coming down, so the low density is right over the shafts here, and consequently, the gravitinos flow at a higher rate because they're not getting jammed up with the mass inside the top of the pyramid. So this, in effect, the relieving chambers up in the King's chamber breaks this wave down into a frequency. Okay. Now the frequency exits the ceiling, like I said, slightly below the speed of light, and these gravitinos more or less charge in between the wave. So you actually have a compression, a gravity compression going on before it exits the floor of the King's chamber and comes out. So you'll have a super high density gravity wave coming straight out of the bottom of the King's chamber. The Queen's chamber, I think, is discontinued. This thing was built in 2 or 3 time frames. Obviously, just by the nature of the Hawaiian HOT SPOT, the mass out there, you have to keep building a bigger and bigger pyramid to overcome the gravity wave that the mass on that side of the planet would have. So this is what they did to overcome the mass. I don't know why they like the Hawaiian HOT SPOT. I think it's a great idea. If I was a Geo Engineer and I needed to cool the planet down, that would be the place I'd want to be. I'd want to be right smack dab in the middle of the Pacific, right in between the 2 conveyor belts, dumping my ash in there and cooling the planet off so we don't overheat. Okay, so that's basically what's going on. Now the same thing was going on in the Queen's chamber, except it wasn't as powerful. It didn't have the relieving chambers. I think the Queen's niche has got a similar picture or a grand gallery type of picture. This is actually this is like a portcullis chamber here is like a graviton check valve, and this the grand gallery is like a condenser, a graviton condenser. And then you have some you have these stones here, what the heck they call them stones there. Well, anyways, it'll come to me, but I haven't read up on those stones in a while. But anyways, there's a couple of massive stones here, and they're also like graviton check valves. They come out of this ascending passageway, and they drive all the gravity wave down. This is driving the gravity wave down, so it evacuates any free gravitinos before the next wave hits inside the King's chamber. I'm kind of butchering the explanation, but if you're interested, read my book. It's really I've articulated it well and explained it well. I'm an engineer by trade, so it kind of works out if you read it. I think over the years, to control this thing, they created a bypass out of the King's chamber, out of the Grand Gallery, more or less like a bypass to lower the output. Okay, you're coming out of an ice age. You don't need this thing blasting ash into the atmosphere, so you lower the output. So there's methodology in here to control the output of this massive graviton accelerating machine, otherwise known as a pyramid gravity wave machine. Okay, so I think with that, I mean, all this other stuff is like a balance. I mean, the subterranean chambers, probably like more of a, what do you call it? A graviton balancing device. it also takes gravitinos down its descending passageway, which is like, I think, 300-400 feet deep, perfectly straight within like a quarter of an inch. So the whole premise with the shafts and these passageways is they had to be perfectly straight. To this day, you can put a laser beam up on either one of the Queen's or the King's shaft, and it'll shoot all the way up to the other end without hitting either wall. So these guys were involved in controlling gravitinos, as I call them. Controlling the gravitino wave. You don't want any circulation, because gravitinos are going to be spilling out with gravitons, and it's a pretty complicated, but actually simple system. It's a subatomic particle level. you try to control it as much as possible. You're going to have a certain percentage that's going to spill out of these shafts and go and get carried down with the wave, but you're going to, and in the same instance, you're going to have some that make it down in and charge in between the waves coming out of the King's Chamber ceiling. So the same thing with this. I mean, this is more or less like a, I guess I call it the poor man's pyramid. It's inverted, but yet it still would condense the wave in its chamber downstairs, and it's got a you know, another shaft that more or less was a you know, a vacuum, gravitino vacuum chamber in between waves. So I guess that's what I wanted to drive home. Just trying to stay on gravity, just trying to stay on the gravity situation. And let's see what else we got. We got the pictures here. Stick with the pictures. I'm going to stick with the pictures, people. That's it. I like this picture. It's pretty cool here. Yeah, it's not really set up good over there, huh? Oh well. It's kind of an aerial photo of Cheops. And that basically, you know, I say it's, you know, it looks like it's got 4 corners or whatever, 8 sides. And they say to this date that it's built in 8 sections, but I believe you're looking at a space-time deflection in the lighting. So it's actually bending your perception. The gravity wave being manipulated on that structure is actually deceiving your eyes and giving you the impression there is 8 sides to the pyramids. They're inverted. In actuality, they're straight. So, well, it depends on what dimension you're in now. If you're in our dimension, they're straight, but if you're in the fifth or higher dimensions where gravity is, it's not. I just wanted to put this up here. This is the damage. This is the reason this thing does not, it's crippled. This is the reason the Great Pyramid of Giza is crippled right now. Gravity waves coming down. This is the King's Chamber. You got this sarcophagus right here. And the irony of the sarcophagus is the lid that used to be on it actually lines up with the north and south shafts. And my explanation is that north and south gravitino supply used to charge the lid, and then the wave would come out of the King's ceiling and smash this down. Also making a more condensed gravity beam and basically pulling all the other waves in with it. Okay, so just more steering capability. That's the opening. More or less the opening to the gravity chamber, the gravity vacuum chamber, the portcullis, and the grand gallery. As I call it, vacuum chamber or low density chamber. These are all the beams are on average 70 tons a piece. I think these are like 40 tons a piece. These blocks. These guys, this thing was built. It's a high-performance machine. It's like the Ferrari out there of, you know, graviton accelerators. Probably the best in the universe. But probably the only one in the universe. Who knows? So, in his infinite wisdom, Colonel Weiss, hell-bent on leaving his mark on history, and he's 2 other guys, I call them the gunpowder tears. He went in and he was blasting holes. Like this chamber right here is the Davison chamber. Was already opened up. We don't know. It might have been opened up by the ancient engineers themselves, the ancient Geo Engineers themselves, to create a bypass out of here to lower the output. Instructions have obviously been blown up, lost. You know, they might be somewhere in the Hall of Records that Edgar Casey talks about. There's pre-Hall of Records. We haven't found any of the Hall of Records, and maybe some people have, but it hasn't been disseminated out for public consumption. Anyways, this guy. So what he did was the gravity wave would crash. It would go hit the blockers, speed up, slow down. You know, speed up, speed, slow down, speed up. You know, and you know, at every opening it would speed up and crash. Speed up and crash into these blockers, and then you have a succession of waves or frequencies coming out, and then the gravitinos would charge the in between the gravity wave coming out and give you that compression that I was talking about. All right, so this has to be repaired. All this damage has to be repaired to control the weather on the planet Earth. Everything has to be, get in there, you got to fix that. The portcullis chamber has to be repaired. All the holes that Al Mamoon blasted, dug out, chiseled his way. He didn't blast, he was chiseling. Everybody looking for the big stash, trying to take a shortcut in life, and, you know, get some gold. And you know, that all has to be repaired to get this gravity machine up and running to increase volcanic activity into the Hawaiian hot spot. Now, I'll take you over to the Hawaiian hot spot now. And let's go right to it. Loading. This thing seems to be getting out of focus. Okay, alright. That's a dog's chew toy. I'm gonna lose my whole production studio. Hope this bowl doesn't fall off from underneath there. Alright, this is the Hawaiian hot spot. Wikipedia's got 3 theories on it, none of which make any sense to anybody with you know, any kind of science background. Never mind a some guy off the street. Okay, so in essence, this is the Hawaiian hot spot. What is going on here, people? Okay, the gravity wave is going down to the center of the Earth, bouncing back off, going up here. It is lowering the gravitational field under the Hawaiian hot spot. Okay, now these mountains are growing higher and higher and higher. I think primarily due because of the damage done to Cheops in the last 1300 years. Anyways, so it's the stuff, the magma's allowed to just puddle up and just kind of like whatever, puddle out and flow out to the ocean and make larger mass, and making our job over in Giza a little bit more difficult to overcome this mass and get the ash into the upper atmosphere to cool down the Pacific. So this is it in a nutshell. It's pretty simple. Now this system, like I said earlier, lines up with all the major large pyramids on the planet. Line up 180 degrees around the Earth. Big globe here, so everybody knows what planet we're talking about. They all line up. All right, same latitude. Boom. You put your finger here. You spin it around. 180 degrees. Come right over here, the approximate same latitude, there will be a volcano from said pyramid, and it's all the pyramids on the planet, okay? It's not just, I'm talking about the large pyramids, the large, areas of multiple pyramids, the alignment is there, go and check it out. It's not, something I'm making up here, and I'm saying approximate. Some of them are, the Shen HSI, I don't know how to pronounce it, Hesse, it's almost like my last name, Shaughnessy. Shaughnessy pyramids in China, I think it's in Xane, I think, China, a couple hundred miles north of Beijing, northwest of Beijing. But anyways, those pyramids, there's one that's 1,200 feet high, 1,100 feet high. Now, I believe those were built pretty recently, mud and clay. They're not anything near the technology that they have in Giza or down in South America. But anyways, long story short, I'm pretty sure you have the same alignment from the Sea of Japan's, the submerged pyramids in that area. Also tied into the the Bermuda Island, but I think what happened was the last ice age. Well, at the beginning of the glacial maximum, we started, obviously melting. While the sea levels go up, you have caterpillars, whatever. when a pyramid goes underwater, it gets disabled. It's not allowed to deflect the gravity wave anymore, like in H.D. Buey's pictures there.